Welcome, everyone, to Teachings of the Ascended Masters on Fallen Angels, Nephilim, and UFOs. This is episode 9, and I'm Stephen Macchio.
And I'm Joseph Macchio.
And at the end of episode 8, we are now past thousands, tens of thousands of years past the time of the coming of Sanat Kumara.
Yes.
Who's also known in the Bible as
the Ancient of Days. Now, you've seen this in the Bible. He's also known as the Lord God of Israel. Sanat Kumara is also mentioned in Indian texts.
Kartikeya, I believe.
He's also known as Kartikeya, and he's known in the Vishnu Purana. He's also known in Buddhism under a different name, Buddha Dipankara.
Wonderful. So
that's the beloved Sanat Kumara who came to Earth to save the planet and all souls on the planet.
Yeah, it's amazing how these epic events find themselves in all of the world's religions.
Yes, it's true.
You will find a reference to the coming of Sanat Kumara, as you just mentioned. So we're now tens of thousands of years beyond that. We are still talking about the continent of Lemuria.
We are.
And we are now talking about the coming of Adam and Eve, who are in higher etheric realms, and they're deciding to form a mystery school because there's enough people on the planet that can handle a mystery school. And they incarnate on Lemuria.
Yes.
And form a mystery school known as, quote, the Garden of Eden. Now, I remember when I was growing up with the concept of the Garden of Eden.
Right.
And, I don't want to step on anyone's toes, but I never really understood when I was even younger. They show this beautiful garden with animals laying around, the tiger sitting down with the lamb, the lamb sits down with the goat doesn't care, the cow.
The dragonfly.
And everyone's, of course no one has any clothes on, they're running around in this veritable garden.
Freezing.
You eat fruit, you don't have to hunt, you have nuts, it's a beautiful image. It's a story. It's allegorical.
It's allegorical.
And that's what we're like getting at, And if people want to stick to that term or that image, that's fine. But the Ascended Masters, and today we're going to present a slightly different view of what actually happened and went on in the Garden of Eden.
Yes.
So we're talking about now thousands of people in this mystery school. And this is not the beginning of time where you have an Adam and an Eve and that they're the only two people on the planet. And by some incredible miracle, they pull off populating an entire planet.
Two people.
Yeah. Well, we're not going to go there. We're just going to say that if you've been listening to our series, you know that there are millions, if not at least 1 billion or more people inhabiting the planet. So this is a brilliant idea for the cosmic councils and the other hierarchs that Adam and Eve are working with to physically embody and take on, and this is a major thrust, a counterpoint to what the fallen angels, the Luciferians, and all that's going on are doing.
Yes.
So the fallen angels are also going, we're in trouble. This is not good for us. There are thousands of people in this mystery school. The teachings of the Ascended Masters of Sanat Kumara are being reintroduced. And there's one brilliant individual that we've actually mentioned before. His name is what?
Serpent.
Serpent. Do you think he's going to stand for this?
I doubt it.
He's not. Any self-respect. I'm trying to say.
I was going to say the same thing.
Fallen one is they are going to attack. They are going to see what's coming down the road here and decide, all right, we're going to infiltrate.
Right.
So in the formulation of this mystery school, Serpent, who was considered one of the most cunning of the fallen angels, and he was actually selected by the then fallen angels, Lucifer and Satan.
Yes.
Because they had their own council meetings trying to determine who could we send to infiltrate this mystery school. Teachings are spreading, people are evolving, the idea of the heaven world and raising up. We can't have this.
No, no.
So they send the most cunning, meaning the one who had tremendous mastery with the use of intellectualism, the use of reasoning,
Yes.
human reasoning, a brilliant mind, extremely handsome, very well possessed of himself,
Yes.
a charisma that you wouldn't believe. You would see the guy and almost fall in love with him.
Yeah.
You want to be his best friend. He comes into the mystery school from its very beginning, and he is a part of this mystery school for decades, for a very, very long time. I'm just throwing out decades, but it could have even been longer than that. He is extremely trusted. He knows Adam and Eve as the hierarchs or initiates of the mystery school. In a way, they're the head of the mystery school, basically. I could say it like that, right?
They are the chief two disciples. However, in order to have a mystery school, you have to have a guru. And we didn't quite yet mention that although Adam and Eve were part of this mystery school, it was founded by the quote, Lord God, that we hear in Genesis. This individual known as the Lord God, if you read Genesis 2, and the Lord God planted a vineyard in Eden, this is allegorical. The Lord God was actually a great teacher and guru. He was actually a divine incarnation. The one we know today as Lord Maitreya, who is considered to be the coming Buddha who has actually come. So this individual, and whether or not he had that same name at that time is another story, but we call him Lord Maitreya. He was the guru, and surrounding the guru are the disciples that must have obedience or give obedience to the guru, because he is going to take them up on the levels and steps of initiation. And each initiation gives a greater degree of cosmic awareness. The greater the passing of the tests, the more light there is, and then by one or two people passing the great initiations of Lord Maitreya, the entire planetary evolution is raised. If you obey the guru, if you increase in cosmic consciousness, then you get the fruit of the tree of life. But you must get it by following the guru. The fruit is the attainment.
And the guru is the
It's the
one who gives
spiritual
you the daily tests.
And the only guru is the only one that gives you the fruit.
Right.
That gives you the attainment or fruit. That is what? It's actually the attainment of the great spheres of the causal body that we see on the chart of the divine self. That is the fruit now made manifest by the initiates who, given the fact that if they follow this path.
Right. So again, we have free will just because they're initiates, Adam and Eve, under the guru, Lord Maitreya, doesn't mean that they don't have free will. They always have free will.
They do.
So Serpent knows that. And he knows that with his mastery of cunning, he could slowly but surely try to turn the viewpoint of Eve, saying that, I've been involved with this mystery school for a very, very long time, and there are other ways that we could really help the evolutions.
We're not making
of the
much
myriad.
progress. See?
Right. Well,
It's slow.
it's very slow because you have to go through testing and initiation, and sometimes you might fail a test, and it is delivered again by the great guru, Lord Maitreya, to the disciples. It would go from Adam and Eve to all of the individuals who are members of this mystery school. And so this is playing out for a very, very long time. And Serpent, being trusted, starts to give Eve different ways of looking at the situation outside of the mystery school and inside the mystery school. Let's do this a little bit differently. Perhaps if we don't do this, we can look at it this way. And his great humanistic, materialistic viewpoints, his intellectualism, starts to sway Eve to look at it a different way. I mean, you could easily see this happening where they're sitting in a meeting and she says, well, you have a point there. Perhaps if we go at it this way, we may have more response. Because they're trying to spread the teachings of the mystery school outside of the mystery school.
Yes.
And so here you have this So I just wanted to get back to the fruit that you were
Yes,
talking about.
yes.
We're not talking about a tree with fruit on it, whereby if one goes and eats the apple, as I was taught,
Yeah.
that all hell breaks loose because you ate an apple. And because the serpent, now you can just see the analogy here, that was in the tree told Eve to eat the apple. Now, if I was there and I had a snake talking to me, I'd say, what? Why? What do you mean
Why
a snake?
would you listen- right.
Why are you going to listen to a snake that's
I'm going
talking?
to listen to a talking snake.
Right. Now, I don't know if people take it that literally anymore. Maybe
I don't know
they
if
do.
they do. I think a lot of people today don't
Realize
take it that literally.
Yeah, they think they realize that this was, but when I was young, it was
Yes,
delivered
of
to me
course,
that
right.
literal.
Yeah, it was literal.
Okay, so the serpent is really allegorical for this individual, as we said, who is known as serpent because of his mastery of the kundalini,
The serpentine
that
fire.
has raised to
Yeah.
the crown chakra,
Yeah.
and he has tremendous wisdom. So now Eve starts listening to serpent.
Yes.
Now what's Adam doing? He's there too, and he starts to be influenced.
Well, Eve is the first one to actually succumb. According to the Akashic record that we've been told, she actually succumbs and decides to basically disobey the teacher, Lord Maitreya, known as the Lord God in the Garden of Eden.
Right.
And to side with the serpent, because let us do good, let us do evil, that good may come. But she doesn't really know it's evil. She thinks it's a shortcut. And these temptations are embodied in the three temptations of Eve, which we're not going to get into, because if we did, it would take like an hour.
Yeah.
And this is all described, of course, in many of the books, including the Path of Self-Transformation, that goes into extreme detail about the temptations of Eve, what they actually mean, and how they're applied even today. Because every single individual on planet Earth, from then till now, are going to go through the same initiation that Eve and Adam did. You either obey the guru or you go the path of humanism, materialism, and let's try to get it done without God.
And intellectualism.
And intellectualism. Let's try to get it done. Let's circumvent the guru, because after all, we long ago rebelled against the guru. We long ago rebelled against the spiritual hierarchy. Now we have to find other ways and means of improving the economy, of educating people, of having alleged peace in the world.
And these are the things that Adam and Eve are thinking about in history
Ideologies.
school. Right.
Well, and philosophies were evolved, all based upon this original rebellion. We got to find a way beyond, around the guru's heart. We have to circumvent the guru.
And so serpent then, because I'm coming up to that famous line that we all know,
Right.
where he is talking to Eve about different ways to do things with his intellectualism. And you have the tree of good and evil as an absolute good, and absolute evil is usually denoted by a capital G and a capital
Yes,
E.
yes.
But what serpent is trying to do is take them into the world of relativity.
Yes.
Good and evil, lowercase, where good is relative to evil and evil is relative to good. There's not absolutes. So you have this gray area. This is what serpent is brilliant at, is creating a gray area. Now, if you had you see, there really should not be a gray area, because if you had a small container of, say, white paint and put a different color in it,
Yeah.
that entire paint is now tainted. But as you add more, it starts to get a darker and darker color, and it starts to change over to the color that you are inputting into that. So
good.
this is what serpent is doing.
Good illustration.
He's slowly turning them to relative good and evil, and then he says to them, you can take of the fruit of good and evil, relative good and evil, right? Because you shall not surely die. Remember that line?
Yeah. You shall not surely die. Well, does that mean you're going to, maybe die but not positively?
Right.
Does that mean you may die but not surely?
See, I think that, I remember that the serpent is saying that we can take you down by degrees so slowly
Yeah.
that you will not know that you are this far away from you losing that divine spark and losing your connection with God, so that you shall not surely die, because you may be able to regain that. However, I and my fallen angels and my mechanized man are going to do everything so that you do not regain that divine spark, and you could die, but maybe not surely die, because he knows that there's always
Yeah.
a chance that the souls of light could regain that divine spark.
Exactly.
And it is absolutely brilliant. I mean, you gotta give you gotta give the guy a little bit of credit, if you want to say that,
well,
in the genius of
Yeah.
his ability to turn.
We saw General Palpatine say to Anakin, well, good or evil. I don't know if it's good or evil. He said, good and evil is a point of view.
Yes, yeah,
Now, see, this particular scene that we did show in one of the episodes, I guess
Right.
it was 1 or 2,
yeah,
actually shows the kind of subtlety, the seduction that was done upon Eve. And Adam and Eve were what we call twin flames. They came out of the same, and everyone has a twin flame. We're not going to get into the teaching of twin flames right now. It's not soulmates, but they are the masculine and feminine beings.
polarity.
They are a polarity of one divine being in polarity. So they were twin flames, and everyone has a twin flame that was created or originated from a divine source. So to
So
answer your
ultimately-
question about Adam, when Eve finally succumbed to the serpent, and the judgment was basically pronounced by Lord Maitreya for disobedience, Adam decided to go along with and suffer with and be with his twin flame.
And you can see why. He's there's a divine connection.
there's a connection.
It's very difficult to pull away
Yeah.
from the one that you incarnated with, and you have that connection.
Yeah, she took in
prior to
relativity.
incarnation.
She took in the substance of relativity. If you have the tree of the knowledge of good and evil with a capital G and a capital E, that is the cosmic Christ consciousness. But the serpent's tree is the lowercase.
Of relativity.
Right. So you can't get the cosmic Christ consciousness until you pass the initiations and are obedient to the Guru, which was the Lord God, Lord Maitreya. So she couldn't get the tree of. That's why the serpent said, "If
should
you
not."
eat of that tree."
Yes. Right. So ultimately,
And God knows that you're going to be wiser. You'll be wiser.
you're saying that's what serpent is thinking.
Yeah, you'll be wiser than Lord Maitreya.
Right. Knowing good
Don't
and
you
evil.
want to be right? Don't
Right.
knowing good and evil. Don't you want to be wiser than your own guru?
Right. It's a
You
brilliant.
see that now that has to do
method.
with pride,
Right. So
which was injected in her during this whole period of working on her. In other
Right,
words, the
right.
serpent working on the consciousness.
it takes a
of Eve.
very, very long time. And again, the sacrifice is astounding of what, because Adam and Eve knew that these things could happen. So ultimately, let's kind of conclude a little bit about the Garden of Eden for now. They both succumb and disobey their teacher. Is
Yes.
that ultimately what happens here?
And they are cast out, as it said in Genesis, of the Garden of Eden, and there's an angel there to keep the way of the tree of life, guarding the mystery school. Now, so they were cast out of the mystery school. They had to deal with their own karma. They lost the divine spark for a certain period of cycles, and they became, quote, mortal. Well, mortal means that you don't have the threefold flame, the divine spark burning within you.
And the other issue that happens when you are removed from the mystery school is if you were in the mystery school and did not succumb to serpent, you have the intercession of the guru, because you're talking about they had to account for their own karma, which they do in the mystery school. But when in the mystery school, you can call upon certain dispensations that the guru can help you out with your karmic conditions and
Yes,
circumstances.
yes.
But once you are removed from the mystery school, Lord Maitreya can no longer give you these specific dispensations
Right.
as he would have if you would have stayed in the mystery school. I just wanted to make that
Yeah.
point, more clear,
Yeah.
because everyone has karmic accountability, but it's very different when you are no longer under a guru and you're out there, so to speak, outside, and
Yes.
it's worse. You don't have also the protection that the
No.
guru could give to the disciples that stay under the path.
Yes, and cycles and cycles passed. We also want to remind everyone of the fact that Adam and Eve were not the only two initiates that
That's true. Right.
were in a mystery school.
Right.
Many, many people of twin flames who had come to save the planet and to help out were also succumbed to serpent.
Right. And again,
So it wasn't
it's
just Adam and Eve.
It's the follow the leader. I mean, still the idea that Adam and Eve were the top initiates, they were groups under them. But
Yes.
once your leader starts to fall, the trust factor comes into play. And you
Yes.
think, well, our leaders are taking it this way. Let's just go this way.
Maybe we should go that way. If they're going, why don't we go?
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, so they're outside of the Garden of Eden now, like you said, and they have become mortal. And
Yes.
I think you already explained what that meant, right?
Yeah,
Becoming
yeah,
mortal.
I explained what that meant. And this was a situation, historically speaking, and in future cycles, these two individuals, as many, many others who succumbed, were then, in many future cycles, were given an opportunity to re-enter the mystery school. And that is another story completely. But we don't want to leave you with the idea that it was all hopeless,
Right.
because
They make
Adam
their
and
way
Eve-
back, basically.
Yeah, they do make their way back. They were victorious,
Right.
and unfortunately for Lemuria, because these two did not hold the balance, the darkness basically increased until we have the epoch of the fall of Mu, the sinking of Mu by volcanic action, and the desecration of the great temples that were on Mu by the Luciferians, by the Satans.
Now, this
So we
is a
have
very
another-
large continent. It's not completely gone.
No, it's not
certain
completely
areas
gone.
of the
It's broken
continent
up.
are broken up, and
Yeah.
parts of it have
And
sunk
a
by
large,
fire.
a large part sank. We don't have a date on this, but I'm thinking over a million years ago.
Yeah, and this is a karmic recompense. When there's more darkness than light, then cosmic councils give edicts through and pass down all the way down to elemental life. Those who work with the forms of the earth, they work with earth and air and fire and water.
Yes, yes.
They have to outplay the karmic condition, and it shakes off and balances tremendous karma when parts of a continent break up and souls go through transition in mass. However, there is no such thing as death, actually. They're going to re-embody on both
Yes.
sides.
Yes.
So you have both sides of the coin, the souls of light and
Re-embody.
Luciferians all perishing in some of this breakup, but they know and we know that they're all going to re-embody anyway, so the story continues. So I think that's all we're going to say about the Garden of Eden
Yeah.
for now, and continue our discussion from various scriptural passages that I know you have said, and we all know, have produced centuries of controversy. It's
Right.
always tremendous controversy on these passages.
On these specific, yeah. One of the purposes of this show was to back up the story of the fallen angels coming to earth through the scriptures, through the scriptures of the West, and eventually we will be speaking about the scriptures of the East regarding these two evolutions of light and darkness. But now we're going to turn to the notorious Genesis 6:4. Genesis chapter 6, verse 4. And this passage again is for those who need further biblical proof that the fallen angels were actually in embodiment on earth. So I'm reading from the Jerusalem Bible translation of this verse. The Nephilim were on the earth at that time, and even afterwards, when the sons of the gods resorted to the daughters of man and had children by them. These are the heroes of days gone by, the famous men. Okay.
I was never taught that when I was going to the Catholic schools that I went to and the various catechismic
catechism
classes I went
the
to.
catechism classes.
No, I know nothing about this until I was much older.
Yeah.
Because what's going on here?
Right, what is going on?
These terms.
Who or what are
Nephilim.
Nephilim? Now, that's part of our class. We have fallen angels, Nephilim, and UFOs. Nephilim is derived from the Semitic root naphal, meaning to fall. So, Nephilim is rendered in the Greek Septuagint. The Greek Septuagint is the translation in Greek in the 2nd century or 3rd century BC as giants. Instead of Nephilim, they said giants. So, but the term giants doesn't really get to the core, you know,
No, it
of
doesn't
who
make
they
sense.
are.
I mean, they
are
could have put in
taller?
there the ones who fell. It's not
Well,
Nephilim. They got to.
Right.
Who's writing this stuff? They're going to
why,
mess
you
us
know-
up, and you have to go through all of these Semitic roots to find out what is actually going on.
But a lot
that's
of the
what it
modern
takes.
translations have the Nephilim. So like a more accurate translation, instead of giants, is Nephilim. In other words, those who fell or those who were cast down.
Mm-hmm.
In other words, this is now further biblical proof that the fallen ones are on earth. They're not in hell. They were cast down from heaven to earth. So if anyone says, you know, where does it say that in the Bible? Well,
There it is.
Genesis 6:4. Well, these Nephilim, as it said in the passage, were wreaking havoc on earth. And they were also there afterwards. Afterwards means another epoch of time from that period. So what we're going to do now is fast forward to another time or epoch, to the 1st century during the time of Jesus.
Okay.
And we have further biblical proof of Jesus in his famous parable about the tares or the weeds and the wheat. The disciples come and ask him to explain the parable of the tares and the wheat. So this is what Jesus says. The field is the world. The good seed are the sons of the kingdom. But the tares are the sons of the wicked one. Now, nobody really probes that.
Right, 'cause-
we said that the sons of the wicked one were basically the mechanization man produced by Satan. The enemy that sowed them is the devil, accuser, or slanderer. That's what that means. The harvest is the end of the age, and the reapers are the angels. As therefore the tares are gathered and burned in the fire, so shall it be at the end of this age. Then shall the righteous shine forth as the sun in the kingdom of their Father. He who hath ears to hear, let him hear.
Well, that's very explosive, and one has to now think of why someone like Jesus, of his stature and his attainment, would call someone a wicked one. He doesn't
sons.
right.
The
He doesn't
sons.
do that to most people that he
No.
meets. People they're sinners and they have issues, but he doesn't use that term.
Never. He would never.
So I think maybe we should stop here for this episode because we're just starting to introduce the Nephilim.
Yes.
And I believe that we'll talk more about this
Parable. We're going to go more
in
into
Matthew
the parable.
13. I think it's Matthew 13, 38,
Yes,
40
thank
to
you.
43.
Thank you.
If you want to look it up and before the next episode is aired, please look up Matthew 13, 38, 40 to 43.
Yeah.
And we will be back next time to go deeper into the Nephilim, their coming, and what they did. Thank you for watching.
Thank you.